y'all watched that movie not too long ago, and it doesn't really hold up?
It really doesn't.
Have we already talked about this?
I don't know if we have or not. We've said that about
we talked about
few
it
movies
offline
before. But yeah, Anchorman doesn't really hold up.
I remember the first time I watched it, and I didn't really get it. I was like, I don't understand the humor in this. And then everybody's like, you have to watch it one more time.
One more time, yeah.
And then I went back and watched it the second time. I was like, oh.
There's like this sweet spot, like this like headspace or like, I don't know, level of maturity that you have to be in order to appreciate that movie. But yeah, it doesn't hold up. And the second one, I didn't really enjoy any of the times that I watched it.
No, I think that's one of those ones where it's kind of like it's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, for sure. Really. Anchorman. Did they make a Step Brothers 2?
I don't know. Did they?
I feel like if they did, we would be able to remember it because I feel like it would be terrible.
Yeah, it'd be awful.
Because when you talk about lightning in a bottle type movies, Step Brothers is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Because Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly have done a lot of stuff together, and nothing has ever been like what Step Brothers was.
The only one that's been close has been Talladega Nights.
Yeah, Talladega Nights is pretty good.
The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
It's not quite as crass as Step Brothers is. They had released one a while back where they were like Sherlock Holmes and Watson or whatever. I didn't see it, but it was like one of those few instances where critics and audience was like, this is gutter trash. Like, this is garbage. I watched a video not long ago about like Adam Sandler movies.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, his are like, okay, like, so before the advent of the internet, Adam Sandler movies were where you got your memes.
Yeah.
And you spoke them aloud to one another. Yeah. That was how we did things. And he would have movies that were just so quotable and just funny. And then like later on you'd have things like a Jack and Jill where it was just like, you could see things coming a mile away. Like, even like little children are laughing at this.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, like, why was this movie made? So, like, Adam Sandler, who shoots and directs and acts in all of these movies, wouldn't he know? Like, okay, this is terrible. Like, this is not a good movie. But it still got released anyway.
I don't know. I think comedy is just one of those things where, like, it's even hard to, like, when you see, like, a stand-up comic, like, way back in the day. Like, there are still some that hold up. Like, if you go back and, like, watch Eddie Murphy Raw or, like, something like that. Yeah. Like, you're talking about, like, the best of the best that's ever been. Yeah. Like, it still holds up. But, like, if you just go back and watch, like, a random, like, whatever from, like, 2002, you're like, it doesn't hit like it used to. Yeah.
I've always wondered that, too. Like, and not just in movies or anything like that, but people that, have made, especially like media that just kind of came out of nowhere and was like a massive success. Yeah. If the people making it kind of had any idea at any point that they were making something.
What this is going to be.
Yeah, this thing, the kind of cultural impact that this thing was going to have. I mean, they probably knew it was good, or they felt confident that it was at least enjoyable. Which really, when it comes to entertainment media, what does it have to be?
It has to be enjoyable. Yeah.
It has to be entertaining. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like as long as you kind of hit that mark,
who really cares?
Who really gives a shit? Yeah. It doesn't have to be this groundbreaking like Wes Anderson film.
But you can always tell there's like a difference. You know what I mean? Like, you watch like some of like you can go online and like watch like some stand up from somebody or whatever. But then, like, you watch, like, some Chappelle stand-up. Yeah. And you're like, oh, my God.
Is it a different league?
He's in a, like, they're non-comparable.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Comedians like Bill Burr. Yeah. He just stands so far and above and beyond. Yeah. And maybe it's not my place to say, but his peers, I mean, there's few that are the greats.
Yeah.
Right. And then like whatever that tier is below them is like well below them. They're still good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that only the greatest comedians of all time are worth watching. Like some comedians that you haven't really ever heard of are oftentimes hilarious and like will actually make you laugh out loud. Like how many times have you like gone to like a comedy show or watched a comedy special and like at the end of it you're like that was pretty good, but you didn't really laugh out loud.
Yeah, there's been a couple that I've seen. Like I remember the first time somebody ever told me to go, well really any of them, but the first time somebody ever told me to go watch Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And I found it was like one of his stand-ups on Netflix or something like that. And I watched it. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I just kind of stumbled across him. Like I think I was scrolling through Netflix one day or something and like before it was even like what it is now.
Yeah.
And there was like, 10 things to watch on Netflix, and one of his stand-ups was on there, and I watched it, and I just was laughing out loud with tears.
Crying.
Like the whole time. And I was like, he's the guy. He's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
And he still is to this day. I remember, one of his first like stand-up specials that he did after his, controversy there.
Yeah.
Chris sent me this article that somebody had wrote about his stand-up special, and they were chastising him because he didn't make fun of Trump enough. And it was like, what do you think? Do you think that's like, is that like a benchmark now? Like, especially during his presidency, right? Like, you couldn't get away from it. Like every comedian, every late night show.
Yeah, it was just kind of like overdone.
It was so overdone. And it was like, yes, we get it. The man is a joke.
Yeah.
There's other jokes though. Like, diversify your portfolio, please.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, at that point, it's not, nobody's really like laughing. Everybody's like doing like this like clapping thing.
Yes.
We're like, yes.
We're like obligated. Yes. You said the Trump joke and yes, we get it.
It's like, yeah, it's like we all, well, I won't say all of us, but just like, yes, I agree. He was a shit president like the last couple of shit presidents that we've had. Yeah. But
it was like the year 2020 and we're still making tiny hand jokes.
Yeah.
Like, move on. There's other stuff going on. Make fun of something else.
Yeah, I think comedy is just one of those things that the greats will always be like, there's like a Mount Rushmore for comedy.
Yeah, especially for comedy.
Especially for comedy.
There's a lot of greats, in things like, sports and, filmmaking and everything else. But comedy is like this thing, this whole other thing where if you break through into the, the greats or whatever, you really, like I said, you just stand so far above all the others.
Yeah. I think one of the things about comedy too, like the way that you can kind of really tell who's great and who isn't great is by like, what's the breadth of the people that watch this person?
As far as like the diversity of the
audience that they have.
Yeah.
Like mostly everybody that I know, like the first time like they hear Bill Burr, they're like, ah.
Yeah, well, he's very abrasive. Yeah.
But then like as you listen to him, like they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. He does a good job of like really taking the piss, but like at the same time making it very clear that's all he's doing.
Yeah.
Like he's not really coming at you like from a place of hatred or anything.
Yeah, he's like these are jokes.
These are jokes. Like I'm a comedian. It's my job to get up here and tell jokes. And that, he's not, you wouldn't call him a clean comic by any means.
No.
But a lot of times, like clean comics who attempt to, keep it, very tame, I guess, so you can capture a wider audience, tend to not be as big as, the comedians who are a bit more brash.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that too is because the brash comedians, the people who are like, making jokes about stuff that's kind of, like hot button issues and stuff like that. That helps. I think that helps people cope with things that, are kind of hard to talk about or things that are, just kind of contentious, naturally.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it's like you're taking things. It's like, look at Louis C.K. Like, he had a bit in one of his stand-ups where he was talking about where he's like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, he does that or whatever.
Yeah.
He's talking about, talks about,
it's called Of Course But Maybe.
Yeah, Of Course But Maybe.
Yeah.
And there's one where he does one with, like,
it was like a U.S. soldier.
Yeah,
or
U.S. soldiers, like, getting shot.
He was like, of course it's awful that your son died fighting in a war. Of course. But maybe if he wasn't over there shooting at someone else, he would have gotten shot. Yeah, that's not something that you could say to like a Gold Star mom at like a Thanksgiving party.
No.
You know? You can, the only reason he was able to get away with it is because, it's a joke. He's telling a joke.
And the thing about it is with jokes, is there's a little bit of truth sprinkled in there. So
there's always a layer.
There's always a layer of truth.
Yeah, like it's like a spanakopita, right? There's that layer of puff pastry.
Mm-hmm.
There's the truth. Now, the rest of it's a joke for sure, but I mean, there is a little bit of truth in there.
You think that's might be why people get so upset at jokes sometimes? Is like they're like, it's like the truth is that little bit of truth is just too much for them to handle.
Well, yeah, I mean it's like an onion in your burger.
Yeah,
right. Like if you really hate onions, everything else in that burger might be fantastic, like A5 Wagyu ground beef and like a brioche bun.
No.
And like lettuce that was cultivated by like, virgin Swedes or whatever. But if there's a fucking onion in there, and you bite it and you crunch that onion, you're going to hate the whole thing.
Just some fucking onion from like Louisiana or something.
Yeah. From Aldi's. Yeah, you really, it'd be like if I went and like listened to, well, maybe it's not exactly the same thing, but like, if I went and listened to like a feminist comedian, like there's a good chance that she's not going to really say anything that's going to make me laugh out loud.
No.
Mainly because if her whole thing is about like feminism, it's like, is this going to be the whole hour-long special?
No.
There's no other things we're going to touch on here?
Yeah.
But that's, of course, and I guess you could say an extreme version, but yeah, there is that little bit of truth. And that's usually the one thing, if there's ever like a controversy, it's that one little nugget that gets picked apart, right, by everyone. It's like the whole Dave Chappelle thing. He got all that flack for telling transgender jokes, and that was only a small part of the whole rest of his show. Yeah. Which was why it was so fucking funny that the next time he came out, he zeroed in on that.
Well, yeah. It's like, what do you think he's going to... It's Dave Chappelle. Like, what do you think he's going to do? And the craziest part about that is when he told that story about... For anybody that hasn't seen it, I would highly recommend that you go watch his new special. But that he tells that story about... He has that friend that they end up killing themselves. Mm-hmm. Because of the flack that they got because they stood up for him.
From this their person, own community.
Yeah, and this person was transgender.
Yeah. So it's like, who's the real villain here?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're bullying people to death, there's a good chance you're not the good guy. Speaking of Twitter, like I said in the last episode, I was trying to kind of train myself on how to use Twitter. And while I was sitting down here waiting for you to come down the stairs, I just pulled up Twitter. And the very first...
It's a fucking cesspool, dude.
Yeah, and I don't know why things get like shown to me. Like I don't understand the algorithm yet. And the very first tweet that appeared when I brought it up, I'm just going to read this to you. And maybe... You can't glean context and, inflection and things like that from text, but here's how I read it. Man go, ooh, smell sugar bussy, must fucky wucky breedable submissive man that is 3 feet tall and has fluffy hair and small ween, but I have massive wee wee and rar and gur.
Is this somebody that you know?
No. So I think this is going to be a bit more difficult than I had initially expected.
It's like, what?
Because if you know...
It's like, you ever seen that Donald Glover meme where he like walks in holding those pizzas?
Everything's on fire. It's like, if you know how I behave on Facebook, this is going to be very difficult for me to not like. Can I just chime in right quick? Can I just put my thumb in this for a second? What the fuck are you talking about? Twitter is wild.
It's a wild place.
It is. And it's... I didn't understand that there are kind of like these sects to Twitter. Like, you have film Twitter, you have black Twitter, you have gay Twitter, you have... And it's not like Reddit where you type in like r/gay or r/film or whatever. This is all one place, and it's like everybody, imagine Reddit is like a complex with a bunch of buildings and rooms.
Yeah.
And Twitter's more like an atrium.
Yeah, where there's like groups of people.
It's just kind of groups of people, and we can all hear one another. Yeah. And occasionally one group says something that the neighboring group didn't like, and then...
You got like one dude in the middle that just says like a racial epithet.
Yeah, then everybody's attention turns to that guy. They are set upon him like wolves. Oh, man. Well, let's bring in the podcast. You want to do it or me do it?
You do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 31 of the Thicc Bois podcast. We had a very tame week this week, didn't we? There wasn't a whole lot that happened.
Not really.
I mean, as far as I know, there could have been some crazy shit that went down. Well, there was another shooting in a church.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that did happen.
I really don't watch the news.
I mean, either. I was scrolling through either Facebook or YouTube. All these apps are starting to blend together to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, maybe it's because everybody, you scroll from up to down, and it's all the same no matter what app you go to. Yeah. But yeah, it was some church in, I think, South Carolina. The guy walked in, and I think he shot 3 people before they were able to apprehend him.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of, this part's funny. They showed his mugshot, and he had just the biggest shiner. Just like,
oh, really?
Somebody fucking decked him right in the eye. Big old black eye. But it was an older gentleman, probably about 70.
Really?
Doing it. Yeah, and went and did that.
Odd.
It was very odd. Well, I say that. The dude that did the Las Vegas one was an older guy.
Yeah, he's an older guy, too. I guess I really don't get this kind of information from YouTube. I guess because my YouTube's really curated, so...
Yeah. Well, the moment that you watch one thing on YouTube, that's all that it gives you for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I think the reason...
Mine's kind of all over the place, because, like, I'll watch Rick Beto, and, like, he'll do, like, an interview with, like Corey Taylor from, like, Slipknot or something like that, and then I'll watch, like, Mark Bell's Power Project, and he'll talk about, like, lifting and everything. Yeah. And then I'll watch something on, like, cars. And then, so, like, those 3 things, like, cycle through. And then every once in a while, I'll get into, like, Thai boxing. And then I'll go watch, like, Muay Thai matches. And then that'll get cycled in. Yeah. But, like, Facebook is really the one that kind of gives me, like, these, like, current day, like, politics things. And, like, I think the reason why I see that on there, well, number one is because I follow a bunch of libertarian pages. But another thing is, too, is there's, like, a lot of sponsored content that's on there. And I think a lot of that comes from, like, local news stations and everything.
Well, I mean, those people pay to have their stuff show up in your feed.
Which, like, with YouTube, I'm just like, whatever, because I'm scrolling for something very particular or whatever. Like, I have, like, people that I'm subscribed to, like, I'll go look on their channels. I'm like, what's the newest thing that they got or whatever. Yeah. So, but anyway, I was looking on Facebook, and apparently the dude that did the Buffalo shooting or whatever, they've linked a retired federal agent to him, and they arrested that guy too.
Really? Like somebody that like assisted him or something? I wonder if it was or if he had retired from the group that radicalized him in the first place.
Interesting.
Everybody, we're going to put on our tinfoil hats. Dive right in.
Well, it's just kind of amazing to me that how many like people that do these like mass shootings or whatever was known to the FBI. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost all of them.
Yeah, They always like we've said before. They do their best work after the fact.
No, it's like, well,
I mean,
what's the point of you doing anything?
What good are you? You're causing most of it. Go away. I think the reason that so it was on YouTube, and I think the reason that it came up for me was because I had watched a video about the Las Vegas shooting. It's a little 30-minute documentary on, I think, ABC's YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It's called A Killer on Floor 32. And it's really good as far as, like, you know, just kind of presenting the timeline of everything and, like, the facts. It didn't really go into, like, you know, oh, we got to, you know, pass new laws to, you know, do this, that, and the other. It was just like, here's kind of what happened and what went down. And the craziest thing about it, to me, was he didn't leave behind any kind of, like, what do you call that? Not a memo.
What is it they call it?
A manifesto.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't leave behind
a memo.
A memo.
Like a sticky note on the door.
On the door. Yeah, gonna shoot out the window, BRB. Yeah, he didn't leave behind any kind of manifesto. He didn't leave behind any kind of suicide note or anything like that.
Which is very unheard of. Yeah,
because usually people who do that kind of thing are usually doing it because, you know, they feel like I need, you know, to, you know, cleanse the races and some other kind of situation like that. But him, nothing. And it was so odd, too, seeing, like, you know, they busted into his room and he had so many rifles in there. Like... 30, 40 different rifles.
I remember when that happened or whatever, and I remember, and this might be incorrect because it's been such a long time ago, but I think they were saying, like, when he checked into that hotel or whatever, they're like, there's no physical way, like, just from the bag that there's no way that he could have gotten all those in there.
Not all at once. He made in that documentary, they showed that he made several trips in and out of the hotel. Gotcha. He apparently had a home somewhere in Nevada, and he would go there and come back. But over the course of 2 weeks or whatever, he brought in several cases and bags and stuff like that. So I mean, I would imagine that those guns were broken down, and then he got in his room and he put them all together and everything there. But I don't know. It kind of seemed weird to me because, even if he did have a bunch of guns, he's still one guy, and you can really only use one rifle at a time.
Yeah.
But he also had a lot of ammunition, so it seems odd that he wouldn't just have one gun and a lot of ammunition rather than a lot of ammunition and a lot of guns. I guess maybe in case one malfunctioned, but how many was he planning on malfunctioning? He had like
it really
50
depends
rifles.
on how many rounds you plan on putting through that barrel, because you can warp the barrel.
Well, I know that they can overheat,
but I mean at the same time, it's like we used to do like crew serve weapons training or whatever, and you'd shoot a Mark 240 Bravo off the near the bridge or whatever.
Yeah.
They do that for hours. I mean, they'd have to, of course, clean it very well afterwards.
Yeah, because all the carbon buildup.
Yeah, but I don't really ever remember them having to, like, swap barrels out or, like, having to, like, change out, like, have to mount another weapon system on there.
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
I don't know, the thing that really gets me about it is just we'll never, not that it would excuse what he did. Of course, nothing ever could, but we'll never know why he did it.
Yeah.
And I think they said, like, and this might be incorrect.
Well,
but
do we ever really, like, get, do we ever really have the person say why they did it? Most of the time, it's like you'll have, like, the FBI come out and be like, this person did it because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, they're not saying it.
Yeah.
You're saying that.
And a lot of times they won't release their manifestos to the public.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they do that is because they don't want to, like, trigger anybody else who might be kind of on the edge about doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what that is too is that a lot of these, if you ever like kind of look at the people that kind of do these things, is like they're looking at it, most of them like they're like social outcasts, like they consider themselves to be like losers or like all this, like all these other like boxes that they've put themselves into.
Yeah.
And it's like most of them want the notoriety. Mm-hmm. It's like, and they know that the news is going to talk about them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my observation is that
they're kind of trying to take some of that power away.
It seems
from
to
them.
me it's like, well, if you're not going to pay attention to me, I'm going to give you a reason to pay attention to me.
Well, it's like with serial killers. They say a lot of them wanted to get caught because, especially like the more prolific ones that had left behind this horrible legacy, several bodies. It's like, well, I think that they kind of see everybody talking about them almost kind of, I don't want to say, admiring them, but kind of giving like this legendary status to them.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I want to be noticed as that thing you've given that status to. But I mean, like that guy that shot up the church, Dylan Roof, he went in there and shot those 9 people in that black church. He had made it very clear that he was doing it because he wanted to kill black people.
Yeah.
So it was like, at the very least, we know why he did it.
Exactly.
But the guy in Las Vegas,
there was really never an
it's
answer
just a fucking mystery. And I think that kind of makes it worse because it was like, well, who else is in that building? Who else is in the neighboring buildings? How close how many people do you think could have been on the precipice of doing what he did? Like all the way up to the point of pulling the trigger and then change their mind, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
How many times has it gotten that close?
Yeah, I guess my question would be, it's like, would it be best, like when these people do these kinds of things, to not give them the notoriety, to not like put their name out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well then I think you would get people who would be like, well, why is the government not releasing his name? Oh, because the government did it, and
Well, not necessarily like the government, but like the 24-hour news cycle. Like if you had like all the, the news media outlets or whatever, it's like, look, like, we know who this is, but we think that's kind of what is driving this is that these people want the notoriety.
Yeah.
So we're just not going to give it to them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you'll rot in a prison cell and nobody will ever know who you are.
Yeah.
So you will continue to be the loser that you said that you were.
Yeah.
So that way they're not getting what it is that they
don't
want.
feel like they at least accomplished their goal.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just throw you into oblivion and
yeah, that'll be it.
That'll be it. It'll be as if you never existed.
Yeah. Yeah, the the Las Vegas one was, I think, the worst one in U.S. history. I'm pretty sure it was 58 people killed. I think 800
If we
wounded.
want to talk about mass shootings,
well, by an individual, the worst one ever done by an individual.
we could talk about mass shootings done by our own government.
Oh, we absolutely could. There's plenty of those. Waco. Ruby
You could also
Ridge.
talk about, what's that one where they took all the guns from the I'm probably going to get it's not the Sioux Indians. It's a tribe in like North Dakota or something like that. They went and took all their guns and then shot and killed every single person.
Yeah,
and it was like 200 people.
Like right away.
It was like 200 people. They killed all of them.
It's fucking
Men, women, children.
just fucking unbelievable. Just we always we've said it before too, is like, you kind of look back at history and you're like, I can't believe that people would behave that way.
Yeah, well, it's like they're
doing
behaving
it
that
now.
way now. Yeah, right.
Humanity doesn't change.
No.
It's just like, the manner and tools with which we carry out our atrocities change.
Yeah.
It's like sports, right? I mean, people aren't physiologically any different really than they were 80 years ago.
Yeah.
But the records that they're setting now are, blow that shit out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the technology that they use for sports these days. Like, shoes are made a certain way, tracks are made a certain way, even the clothes are made a certain way. Like, everything they can do to shave off like 1% less time, or give like a 0.5% more distance.
That's why it's so amazing when you see some of the records, especially too, like with track and field. They were like set back like in the 80s. They're like nobody's touched.
Yeah.
or like ones that have stood for like 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
Because what you're looking at is you're looking at somebody that was made to do that.
Yeah. He's like the peak of like, humanity or whatever.
Yeah.
The
like that dude that we were talking about that ran
the sub 2 hour marathon.
Sub 2 hour marathon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they used to run tracks. It used to be wood ash.
Really?
They used to run on wood ash. And it was like they would do it like barefooted. That was a long time ago, but that was the best they came up with.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny too. Like, you ever heard about like what the Olympics were when they first started? Like when they first started the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was like you'd go out.
There's like nude wrestling.
It was there was like there was nude wrestling, and then I think there was discus, and then there was like one other thing, and that was it. And it was like he just kind of made an afternoon of it and went home. Mm-hmm. Now it's like this thing that Coca-Cola has to slap their logo on. Yeah. Because all those athletes drink so much Coke.
Drink a lot of Coke. Yeah.
Look at Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps and his 12-pack abs. Yeah, he drinks a lot of Coke, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah. Oh, and McDonald's is here. The quarter-pounder cheeseburger, the official burger of the Olympics.
Well, those people probably never even touched a McDonald's hamburger in their life.
I'm sure they would love to.
Yeah.
But, they're absolutely not.
Probably when they were like broke college students, they probably ate McDonald's and everything. But.
Well, I don't know. Some of those people, like the caloric, like their caloric intake every day.
Well, yeah, it's like if you ever, actually speaking of Michael Phelps, I remember watching a thing one time. I think they said like his caloric intake was like 10,000 calories a day.
That is unfucking
just to get through the workouts that he was getting through.
That's like eating, 5 business days worth of food.
It's so much fuel.
It is. I saw this video a while back where this dude was like, I tried, The Rock's diet for a day. And I think The Rock eats something like 8,000 calories a day. But it's 8,000 calories of things like chicken breast and broccoli and, low calorie foods. But the thing so if you're eating a lot of low calorie food and you're eating 8,000 calories of it, that is
you're going to be satiated very quickly.
The mass of food is insane. Like if you tried to take like how many double quarter pounders do you need to get to 8,000? I think something like it's like 5.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe less than that.
How many heads of lettuce do you need to get to 8,000?
Yeah.
Like 5 truckloads.
Yeah.
It was like he's got The Rock gets up at 2 a.m., goes for an hour run, and then he works out, and then he goes for another run, and then he takes a nap, and then he works out again.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he has to end the day with 8,000 calories consumed.
Yeah.
Like that in and of itself is a difficult thing to do.
I think too, like a lot of people see like The Rock or whatever, and they're like, well, how am I ever supposed to look like that? And it's like, well, you're not.
You're not.
You're not supposed to.
He's not supposed to look like that. He just does because he did it to himself.
It's like he looks like that because that's his job.
Yeah, that's
like
why
if
he
that
put
was your job,
through.
then you could look like that too. It's like, but it's like you have to go to work. Like you can't really.
Yeah, you got to go to your job for 8 hours a day. You don't have time. You don't have time for that. You can't just do that. And you can work at the DMV.
Yeah. So it's like when he eats a cheeseburger, like it's a little bit different than when you eat a cheeseburger.
Yeah. If you're sitting down at a desk for 8 hours and you eat a cheeseburger, that's another jelly roll under your titty. Like it just pops up instantly. It's like when people talk about impossible beauty standards, right? Especially with women. Like if there's a model up on a billboard and she's very, very lean, like almost sickly.
Yeah.
It's her job to look like that. She doesn't look that way because that's who she is. She put herself through a hell to look like that. You're not supposed to look like that.
Do you think that beauty standards are like that? I remember like when we were growing up, like you look at like the Sports Illustrated like swimsuit model like edition or whatever like that, and you had like this person that of course they had like big fake tits and then like
fake tits were huge.
Yeah, fake tits, and like there was like no curves. It was like a stick.
Yeah.
Like they it's like, but I don't necessarily think that. Do you think that that's really like what they consider like beauty standards anymore?
Yeah, why are you calling it a standard?
Yeah.
I don't. Is there a standard for beauty?
I mean, like, look throughout history or whatever. I mean, you have, way back in the day, they drew pictures of women that were full-figured women.
Yeah.
Like,
very healthy
yeah.
looking, They didn't look emaciated.
Yeah.
And, it even used to be that if you were an overweight fat fuck, that meant that you were...
Speaking as a fat myself.
Yeah. It meant that you were very wealthy and affluent.
Yeah, and it means
because you
that
could afford to
you
get
had
fat.
access to food, right?
I mean, so I guess the meaning of it changes. So, in a world of overabundance, I guess you could see fit skinny people as having...
Like discipline, I guess.
Having discipline.
Yeah, but
because it's very easy to get fat.
But even still, it's like... I really wouldn't even say that, like, skinny people are fit people.
Oh, there's definitely some weak skinny people out there.
Yeah. But, I mean, you could look at, like... it's like... you look at, like certain types of, like, sports or whatever, like athletes in certain types of sports. Like, a lot of girls that play, like, volleyball, like, they're not skinny.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, like, running around, like...
With these chicken legs.
Chicken legs.
Yeah.
Like, you have to jump. You have to be able to jump.
You have to jump and run and dive.
Jump and run and dive and all these other things. It's like, so you're going to have muscle mass. You're not going to be this super skinny person, like, as opposed to somebody that maybe might run... like a super marathon or whatever over like 100 miles.
Who has to be lean.
They have to be lean.
They have to keep their body weight low because then they have less weight to move around the track.
It's like their VO2 max is higher. That way they're more efficiently using that oxygen as it enters their body.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't have to power all of this muscle mass.
Yeah. The best thing you can do, if you're really that concerned, about it is, try to be the best you can be. Of course, it's, if you, there's like I said, there's a difference between wishing and wanting something, right? So if you wish that you looked a certain way, then you're not going to put in the effort. You're just wishing that you were that way. Yeah. But if you want it, you're going to put in the effort to achieve that. And on top of that, here's another thing. People physiologically are very different from one another.
Yeah.
They're genetically unique organisms. Some people are going to be more attractive than you. That's just the way it is.
They're more symmetrical than you are.
Yeah. And you're just going to drive yourself into an early grave if all you ever do is concern yourself with the fact that you're never going to be the person on the billboard.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm never going to be a person who builds a rocket and flies into space.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
That's just not
I'm not smart enough to do it.
That's just not going to happen for me. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I think a lot of what it is people, they try to they're like, oh, well, I see this and this is, I want to be like this person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that person probably doesn't want to be like anybody else. They just want to be like themselves.
Yeah. Some of those people, especially when you start talking about models, probably don't even want to be themselves.
Exactly. Well, another thing is, too, is like, especially like if you look at, like, if you see like bodybuilders or anything, or like anybody that's like swimsuit competition and everything, like how they're like super shredded and they're like super lean and all that stuff, they are very sickly.
Yeah. You're not supposed to look like that.
You're not supposed to look like that because they've gotten rid of all their water retention. It's like, and that's the time when they're the weakest and they get real sick. It's just because your body's not supposed to operate with that amount of lean mass on you with not enough fat in order to kind of keep you fucking going.
Yeah. There was a lot of I think Hugh Jackman in particular, he had gone on a talk show and he was talking about, I don't know really if they do it anymore. I guess they probably do, but I haven't seen a lot of new movies lately. But movies, it was almost kind of guaranteed you were going to have a shirtless shot. This kind of gratuitous, like, oh, look at how like shredded and jacked, Ryan Gosling is.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't look like that all the time.
No, and they touch that stuff up.
There's
lighting and everything. Yeah.
And also, I mean, of course, he has to put in the work to look that way somewhat.
Yeah.
But, in the weeks leading up to that shot, they have that shot scheduled. They say, okay, by this date, you need to have lost, all this weight.
Here's the aesthetic that
Here's the aesthetic that we need. You can't eat any solid food 3 days prior. You can't drink any water 5 days prior. And, once we get that shot, then you can be a human being again.
He looks like, was it SpongeBob when he takes the...
just that emaciated look.
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen like the side by side shot like of Hugh Jackman, where it's like it was what's the one where it's like I can't remember which movie it is. It's like X-Men Origins or whatever, like where they first put the adamantium in him, and everything, as opposed to like the very first movie that he did.
Huh.
Like the very first movie that he did, he just looks like a normal dude.
The first X-Men movie?
Yeah, the first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
So he just looks like a normal guy that's playing Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like he's not particularly like shredded or like muscular or anything, as opposed to like the next one that he played in. Yeah. You're like, holy fuck.
Where he's got like those ripples in his pecs.
Yeah. Like the striations and everything, like across his chest and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a totally different look that he's got.
If you looked like that every day, if you took
you would die.
You would, your life would end.
Yeah.
You would die. You're not supposed to look like that. So it's like when I see Hugh Jackman, stand up out of the tank or whatever, and he just looks like, he just looks like musculature through and through.
Yeah.
I'm not like, bemoaning the fact that I don't look like that. I'm like, I'm not going to look like that. I just don't, and I won't.
Yeah, but at the same time, you should ask yourself, it's like, well, how do I maybe look a little bit better? Like, how do I do something that makes me feel better?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, because I don't think I've ever done a workout, and then at the end of the workout, I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have done that workout.
Oh, not once.
There's been plenty of times where I've skipped a workout. I'm like, fuck, I really should have went and did that workout.
Yep. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it's when you don't go, you're like, I am a fucking piece of shit.
Yep, I'm a fat piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah, but when you're done sweating in the gym for 2 hours and you go to get in your car, you're like, I feel good.
Yeah, I feel much better.
Good thing for me to go do.
Yeah, because your brain releases endorphins, and it's like, hey, well, like I'm rewarding you for like doing this thing that you should do.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's another part of your brain that's working against itself. It's like, no, we should sit on the couch for the next 9 hours. just sit here and pump blood for a while.
Well, I mean, and there's a lot to be said for you look at these people that kind of reach these pinnacles of success when it comes to like athletics and all this stuff. And the reason why I think a lot of these people are revered is because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's one of if not the hardest thing to do.
It's like you're fighting your instincts the entire time.
Yeah.
You're fighting against your humanity in order to achieve that.
Listen, I have never gone on a run or like most of the run I'm like, I could stop.
Yeah.
I could just stop and walk.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this.
You're fighting yourself the entire time.
I'm fighting myself the entire time. Yeah. And I think, maybe that's just me because I really don't fucking like running. I know that I need to, so I'm doing it.
Some people they love it. It's just, they're wired different because people are different.
Yeah, people are different.
Yeah. Like I said, you're never going to catch me running for any reason other than to try and save my life, which might be why that won't work for me. So, there's
the only option you have is fight.
Yeah,
you have no flight.
I'm not particularly good at that, so I might just die. The thing is, it kills my knees and my shins and my ankles. Like everything from the knees down, it hurts like hell to run. So like when I go to the gym, I haven't been in a while. I would get on the elliptical, which is much easier on my joints. But I would see people come in and get on the treadmill and run, like, at a really fast pace for like the entire time I was on the elliptical.
Yeah.
I'm just not like that person.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Well, a lot of it is, too, and since I've been running, I've had kind of the same issue with like shin splints and everything. And a lot of it is like people tend to overstride when they're trying to go quicker. Yeah. So like a lot of it's like, oh, you should heel strike and all this nonsense or whatever. Well, it's like just depending upon your gait and how it is that you run, it's like if you're running slower, you tend to heel strike more. It's just the way that it is. It's sort of like when you walk. It's like, of course, there are some people that like walk on the balls of their feet and on their toes and everything, but most people tend to, when you strike the ground when you're walking, you heel strike. Your heel's the first thing that hits as it goes down. Well, a lot of people, they're like, when they run or whatever, not like a sprint. Like a sprint that's biomechanically, that's totally different than like going for like a run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of hard to separate those two things because when you're sprinting, you are running.
Yeah.
But that's like a maximum effort.
It's like when you see people sprinting, oftentimes they're on the ball of their feet.
Correct. Yeah.
They're like right up under the toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're gripping and pushing, right? Yeah. So they're trying to propel themselves. You're doing the same thing when you're running, right?
Yeah.
But you're just not exerting that amount of effort in order to like. Well, the reason why is because there's a different set of muscles that are used in that action.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
You'd think it would just be faster running, but it's a different thing.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Right. So like with sprinting, you're using like fast twitch muscle fibers.
Yeah.
As opposed to like when you're like going for like if you wanted to go for like a mile run or like a 2-mile run or something like that, like you're using slow twitch muscle fibers, and those are two totally different sets of muscle fibers.
Yeah.
And depending upon your physiological makeup, you might have more of one kind than you do with the other kind. So I was watching, I think his name is like Chris Henshaw, and I think he works with like, he does a lot of like aerobic fitness type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a podcast that he was on, and he was sort of explaining like, when you're running and everything, like you don't want to overstride, like you don't want to like get your, like my toe, I don't want my toe to be ahead of my knee when it strikes the ground, right? So it's like, well, how do you go faster? It's like, well, you take more steps.
Yeah, you do the action faster.
You do the action faster, and that's how you get faster as you're running. I haven't really like looked at sprinting as far as that's concerned.
Yeah,
but I do know that for running, like if you were wanting to run like a mile or something like that, that you don't want to overstride as you're doing it, because essentially what they're saying is like when you overstride, you're essentially putting on the brakes.
Every time
you're putting on brakes every single time that you take a step.
It's like I never would have guessed there was so much mechanics involved.
Oh yeah, like I watched like an hour long like thing that this guy was talking about like running mechanics and everything, and if I'm not mistaken, he was like a world class like triathlete. So, and like with the triathlon, I don't know the swim or the bike per se. I think the bike's like 100 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the swim might be like 2 mile, like a 2-mile swim, like 100-mile bike, and then it's a marathon at the end.
Oh,
so
God.
like you'll swim 2 miles, jump on a bike, you'll go and change, and then get on a bike, and then bike like 120 miles or something like that. And then once you're done with that and you put on your running shoes, then you go for a 26.2 mile run. God. How fucking awful.
Oh my God, that sounds fucking miserable. And people do that for fun.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting though, because he was saying that it's like a lot of what you have to do, like, you know, a lot of people, you can't just jump in and do it. You know what I mean? So it's like what you really have to do is like you have to build up like an aerobic base. Mm-hmm. And essentially what that is it's the mitochondria that are in your cells are more proficient at extracting oxygen and using that oxygen to power the red blood cells in order to get that oxygen around your body. That way,
so you're having to change yourself on a cellular level.
Correct. Yes. So that way, another thing he was talking about too is that a lot of like the lactic acid that's built up inside your muscles and everything, like up top and everything, it flushes down to your legs.
Yeah.
Because that's the largest muscle group in the body.
Yeah.
So that's where all that lactic acid goes. And he had like a whole spiel, and I don't know exactly. I thought it was very interesting how like training at certain like lactate thresholds and everything like that, it gets your body more proficient at flushing that lactic acid out.
Oh, wow.
Like as you're exercising.
That's really interesting that your body can change on the cellular level like that. You can condition you, because when you think, you would think, when it comes to like getting in shape or whatever, it's just kind of a matter of losing fat, gaining muscle. But there's so much more involved, like with the way that your body like moves oxygen around and things like that.
Yeah, your heart stretches, and because it's pumping, as it's pumping or whatever, like it's stretching. Yeah. So like your heart's getting stronger, as opposed to like if you're not exercising as far as like maybe like walk, like a brisk walk or like a run or something like that like your heart, as it stretches or whatever, it gets more proficient at pushing that blood. Like every time it contracts, it's able to push more blood throughout the body, further throughout the body, right?
Wow.
Another thing, too, is that what he was saying that I thought was really interesting was that you can tell whether or not somebody is running too fast by their breath cadence. So, like, you should be like 1, 2, 3, 4 breath, 1, 2, 3, 4 breath, 1, 2, 3, 4 breath.
Yeah.
And anytime it goes below 2, like if you're going 1, 2 breath, 1, 2 breath, 1, 2 breath, like as you're doing that, you can tell that the person is exerting too much.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to keep that pace as is for an extended period of time.
That's really interesting if you consider like people who are, who have trained to do that one particular sport, right? Like, say you have like a person who runs a marathon, and then like a professional boxer, and then like a dancer. Like all three of those people are athletic and they're in shape. But if you just, did the cup move around thing, right, and you had the boxer dance and the dancer run and the runner box, outside of this the training and the know-how, their bodies aren't, even though they're into shape, their bodies aren't going to be able to do what those people were doing.
Right. Well, it's a very specific subset that they've decided that they want to focus on, right? Well, I mean, it's like, take track and field, for example.
Yeah.
It's like you take a person that throws the javelin and be like, hey, why don't you go run that 3,000 meter?
Yeah.
See how fast you go.
And how long you'll last.
And how long you'll last. And then you can say the same for somebody that runs the steeplechase and be like, hey, go throw the shot put.
Yeah, go throw that 16-pound ball, see how far it gets.
It's just a different subset of, like, it's sort of like what have, these are people that have trained their entire lives in order to become the best of the best. Mm-hmm. That way they can go ahead and that's essentially how they make their money. You know what I mean? They don't make a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
And
it's important to realize what you just said there. Their whole lives.
Yeah.
Their entire existing dedicated to that. So when you see Michael Phelps get up out of the pool and he's shredded and you work an 8-hour job, don't get sad about that.
No.
It's
just, well, another thing,
he has a different job.
Well, another thing, too, is like Michael, he's a goofy looking dude.
He is kind of
like he's got massive hands.
Yeah.
And he's got a real wide chest.
Yeah.
And he's got these massive feet.
Yeah.
He was made to swim. He was made to swim.
Yeah, he really was. Like, he kind of genetically was predisposed to be in the water. And, like, I'm surprised he doesn't have, like, webbed hands.
Yeah. Well, in this, I don't think that it's beneficial to anybody to look at, like, the peak performance of humanity and go, why can't that be me?
Yeah. Yeah, like the less than 1%.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't that all of us?
Yeah. It's like, well, guess what? You're in the majority with the rest of us.
Yeah.
So you can either go out and go try to do something, make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Go do some type of exercise.
Yeah. Or just quit complaining.
Yeah, or just shut the fuck up.
Speaking of dancers, let's talk about Super Cringe Thursday.
Oof.
Because we need to touch on that.
For anybody that hasn't seen it, I would recommend that you go to the Facebook page and you go watch it. Or you can just go straight to YouTube and look up Ninja Floss.
Ninja Floss New Year's Eve.
Yeah. And boy,
oh boy. Here's the thing that really gets me about that is, the people who were putting on the production for New Year's Eve or whatever, the only thing they knew was that this guy Ninja, lots of people are talking about him. Beyond that, whatever, we don't care. Just get him in his bright pink hair and put him up on stage.
They've really got their finger on the pulse of society.
Oh, yeah. They're so in tune. I would wager that aside from the very small children who are not at the New Year's Eve in Times Square, nobody knew who Ninja was. That was there.
Like, who the fuck is this dude?
Yeah. And when it came to flossing, the actual dance, they'd probably never even seen that before. So the video starts with Ninja trying to teach the ladies that are flanking him how to do the floss, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you bring your fists out to the right side and then to the left side, and then you alternate which one goes behind you.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing, but it's not something that everybody's doing all the time. It's not like he got up there and did the Macarena. You know, everybody knows the Macarena or YMCA or something like that. So then he goes over and he tries to get the crowd in on it and tries to get the crowd to start flossing. And the camera cuts to like the two people who are obviously plants who are doing it, and they couldn't even really do it right. And then it cuts back to Ninja standing over the crowd flossing, and he's looking down at the crowd, and everybody's just standing still. Like terracotta soldiers, just not moving an inch. He's like, I'm not seeing enough movement out there. Yeah, because nobody's moving.
Yeah, nobody's moving. Not only that, but it's raining.
And they're packed in like fucking sardines.
Yeah.
If all those people stand out there and start swinging their fists back and forth.
They'd be whacking each other.
Yeah, it'd be pandemonium.
Oh, God. You know, the funny thing is I remember watching that when that happened.
Oh, did you see it live?
Yeah, I saw it live.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember it was like 2019 New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I don't remember why I was awake.
Yeah.
I was like watching the New Year's like Eve deal or whatever. And I kind of knew who Ninja was. It's like sort of like with Facebook memes and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's the guy that plays Fortnite.
Yeah.
And so
the guy who makes a lot of money playing Fortnite.
Yeah, that guy, he makes a lot of money playing Fortnite. And then so he like starts doing it, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, God.
And like it's already cringe that you're doing it.
It's yeah.
And then like watching like him, and they like pan over the crowd, and there's like zero movement.
Not a one.
Not one person.
Yeah.
And I just started laughing.
The reason why I said the two people who were obviously planted there to do it, the reason I say that they were obviously planted is because they have like a 9-foot radius of personal space around them. No one else does.
Yeah.
Just them. And it was like you said, you know, the people putting on the show really had their finger on the pulse of society, and they really don't. They're way out of touch. Ninja's fan base is in bed.
Yeah, they're not awake.
They're not awake right now. And not to mention, they watch him online.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think they understand like this new kind of, what the fuck are the kids into?
It's just like somebody was like, well, they like this guy.
Yeah.
And they like to floss. Like with dental floss.
Kids are into flossing these days? Well, that's nice. I like to hear that. Have you ever seen, there's a website called Genius Lyrics. And if you've ever looked up lyrics, you might have seen that URL before. But they have a YouTube page where they'll do interviews with people who have written songs, like ask them about the meaning of their lyrics and stuff like that. So they'll have people on there who, you know, sing like a rock ballad.
Yeah.
You know, think like Mama, I'm Coming Home by Ozzy. Like a very, very emotional song.
No.
Very lyrically driven song. Well, the kid who did the floss dance.
Like the original?
The original, like they used to call him Backpack Kid. Because he was just like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It was at a Katy Perry concert.
Yes.
Yeah, and
That's where that started?
That's where that started from. They just kind of had him come up on stage and do a dance, and I think he just came up with that thing on the spot.
Yeah.
And he then went on to gain more fame because they put his floss dance in Fortnite. And then once it hit Fortnite, it became this unstoppable, cringy thing. This cringe monster, the ultimate cringe life form. Well, the people who produce music the same way that Marie Callender's pot pies are made in a factory, they said, hey, everybody likes this floss thing that's going on here. Let's get that kid, and we'll make a song about flossing.
Oh, God.
And I'll show you the song later. And I can't play it on the podcast because it'll get copyright striked. So just look up floss song or whatever.
We can link it in the show notes.
Yeah. Well, Genius Lyrics got the kid, the child, and had him explain the lyrics of his song.
He wrote the song?
I think he did.
Oh,
it
God.
seems like a song written by a child.
Oh, God.
But I don't know for sure. The lyrics is, I be flossin', I be flossin', I be flossin', I be flossin'. And he's sitting there in this chair. He looks like he's wearing like 100 jackets. And he's singing the song, I be flossin'. I'll play that clip here.
I be flossin', I be flossin', I be flossin', I be flossin'.
And they're like, okay, well, tell us the meaning of, what does that mean? And I don't even remember what he said.
No.
I just couldn't believe that we had gotten to that point. It was like, is this all we have?
Well, the funny thing is, you say that, but and I'm going to make a lot of people mad when I get ready to say this. So here we go.
Buckle up.
Yeah. Rihanna does the same thing.
Yes.
You ever listen to a Rihanna song? It's the same fucking words.
Yeah.
Over and over
and over
and over.
Since we're on this topic, I wrote down some very thoughtful, profound lyrics. I'll read them to you now. Why should we be pleasing any politician heathens who had tried to change the seasons if they could? The state of the condition insults my intuition, and it only makes me crazy and a heart like wood. Not bad, right?
Yeah, not bad. Who is this?
What song is that from? You will never in a million fucking years guess what song this is from.
Was it from WAP?
It's from Scat Man.
Oh, God. Speaking of WAP, have you ever listened to Ben Shapiro read the lyrics to WAP?
Oh, my God.
Where they put the music over it?
Ben, I don't think that song was for you. Yeah. I really don't. Right? So not everything is made for everybody.
Yeah, not everything's made for
WAP
everybody.
wasn't made for me. I wasn't the target demographic.
However, him reading it with him putting the lyrics over the top of it, I just laughed so hard the first time I saw it.
There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. Now you're messing with a wet-ass pussy.
No, he wouldn't even say the word pussy. He says P word.
Wet-ass P word.
Oh, God.
Did you ever see, so his sister, Abigail Shapiro, she's known for having giant titties?
No.
There was this thing going around on YouTube. I guess she recently had become pregnant by her husband, and she had posted this picture on her Twitter page or Facebook page or something. And she's standing there, and she was having a bridal or a baby shower, and she's got her arms around like her friends or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she does have very large breasts. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
But somebody took it and photoshopped them just to kind of be, just to kind of be a little bit ridiculous, right? And so people started passing this picture around like, oh my good Lord. Look at those things. And then Ben Shapiro retweeted the picture. And he was like, look at my sister, absolutely glowing.
Oh, God.
She catches a lot of shit. I think because, from what I understand, Abigail Shapiro has a YouTube page where she talks about like why women should dress modestly and respect their husbands.
Yeah.
And how dare she? How dare you say those things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're Jewish.
Yeah.
Sort of like,
But with the current, the current sensibilities, like people don't really take to that well. So she kind of catches some shit for that. But while we're on the topic of large breasts, do you know about mommy milkers?
I've never heard of that. What is that?
This all started with the AT&T girl. I don't know her name.
Oh, does she have large breasts as well?
She does have large breasts as well. If you've ever noticed in like AT&T commercials, she's usually shot from mid-chest up, and if she's not, she's wearing a very tight sweater. And the reason for that is because she's very well endowed. She has large chesticles.
Yeah.
And people will not stop talking about her tits. I know we're doing the same thing, but I'm talking about the people talking about it.
Yeah.
She,
it's become an issue at this point?
It's become an issue at this point. So at one point, she did a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live, some sort of live video.
Yeah.
And, rookie mistake. You never address the trolls directly.
Oh, no.
You never feed the trolls. And she was saying, I'm more than just my breasts. I'm a person.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a career in acting, and it's... actors start out doing commercials.
Yeah.
Steve Carell did a Wendy's commercial. It was the first thing he ever did.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or a Burger King commercial, something like that.
You know what was the first thing Jackie Chan ever did?
Porn.
Yep.
I like to imagine he's just like beating people up. He grabs
with his wiener. I think who is it? Sylvester Stallone, I think, was the same way.
Same way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in this live video, people started spamming the glass of milk emoji.
Oh no!
Over and over and over, and people kept saying, "Mommy milkies, mommy milkies." So now, that's how they refer to her. They call her mommy milkies.
Oh no!
How dare she have big breasts? Yeah.
I feel bad for her.
I feel bad for her, too.
I feel bad for her. But at the same time, you can't address the trolls.
No.
That's the last thing you do.
The last thing you do is let them know that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the only power that somebody has is to shout, you can take that away by not listening.
Exactly.
That's how you do that. You can't feed the trolls because then they'll say, we got her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in our pocket now.
Yeah.
Even if 20 years from now you haven't addressed them, the one time that you did, they know now that you're paying attention.
Exactly. We've rattled you.
Yeah. And maybe that's easy for me to say. I've never had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever talked about my voluptuous breasts. And it's hard, I guess it would be hard too because you'd like to think that people would respond and say, hey, that's making me feel bad. They would say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah.
Not on the internet. Not ever on the internet has that worked.
No.
Not once.
No. Breasts are so weird.
Aren't they?
It's just odd, right? It's just an odd thing.
It is. Especially like the sexualization of breasts.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, too, could be because, we keep them hidden. Is it secret? Is it safe?
I mean, I guess, and it is strange, because I know that, over, in Europe, in France and Italy and everything, they're not really as...
Nudity's not really a huge deal over there.
Yeah. Well, top, top
from,
up.
From the top up.
From the top
just
up.
Walk around with
People
your
aren't just
dong
walking
out.
around with, cock and balls hanging out.
Yeah. Swinging the brie.
Yeah. I mean, there are nude beaches over there, so but it's still not... And it is odd that, in Europe, just from sort of what I've gathered, having been to France twice,
Yeah.
is that it seems like nudity really isn't as big a deal, where it's violence is much more a bigger deal over there. And it's really the reverse opposite over here. Over here, violence is whatever.
No biggie.
Yeah, no biggie. But, we see a couple of nipples, and everybody freaks out.
Yeah, the tires screech to a halt. Cover those damn things up. We're trying to kill people over here.
It's just odd.
It is. Censorship is weird. Kind of worldwide. Even commercials. Like I've seen German commercials and French commercials where like you can hear like a couple fucking in the next room, and the little kid's like, "Oh, my, skull candy earphones will make sure I don't hear that."
I can't remember if it was a German commercial or not, but it was a commercial for ketchup. And I don't know if you've ever seen this commercial before. It's like back in like the early 2000s or whatever. It was one of those ones that made its rounds on the internet.
Yeah.
And there's a kid there, and by kid I mean probably like an 18-year-old or whatever, right? So he's like sitting on the end of this bed, like obviously like his girlfriend or whatever. And it's like shot from like, of course, like the chest up or whatever. Yeah. And he like talking to her, and he's like, just do it like you would do like a bottle of ketchup. And then it like pans away like a cutaway shot, and like shows her like having like the bottle of ketchup doing like that.
Oh
no. So in the next scene, you see her arm go over, and then the hand just goes over the top.
Oh my fucking god. Oh, that gave me shivers just imagining that happening. Oh.
Just a death grip.
Oh my god. That's awful.
Oh god.
Speaking of penile injuries, I was watching this video the other day. It was talking about like the worst injuries that people had ever like gotten before.
Yeah.
And it was a guy who was, having intercourse with his wife, and there's an area in between the anus and the vagina, often referred to as the gooch or the taint.
Yeah.
Because it taints your asshole and it taints your balls. Right.
Yeah.
And they had gotten particularly invested in what they were doing.
Yeah.
And she moved her hips in such a way that he was no longer inside her. And then when she went to go back, he messed up the re-entry, and he landed in that middle area. And his penis snapped in half.
No! Yay!
The problem with this is that there aren't any bones in the penis. There are blood vessels on either side of the urethra that fill up with blood very, very tightly. Almost so that it feels like a solid thing. Right. So when his penis snapped in half, those blood vessels exploded.
No. Oh, no. Oh, no.
And he bled out internally.
Oh.
Because his wee-wee snapped in half.
That poor gentleman.
That poor... I mean, F in the chat, right? I mean, pour one out for that guy. That is so awful. I could not... people always say, like, oh, I want to die having sex. So not like that.
Yeah, not like that.
not with the penis explosion.
There used to be a show that came on... Do you remember Spike TV? So there used to be a show that came on Spike TV. It was like 1,000 Ways to Die.
That show is the reason why I don't push when I shit. Because a dude pooped his guts out and died from it.
So do you know what...
It freaked me the hell out.
Do you know what the number one way to die was when they finally got to number one? It was a couple. They were Japanese or Korean. I can't remember. Neither one... They were both virgins. Yeah. Neither one of them had ever had sex before. And you can go look this up on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the episode or whatever. So, neither one of them had ever had sex before, and they were like 3 or 4 years into their marriage.
Yeah,
and like it just the tension kept building up, but they just never had sex, right? And then until finally they did, and they both died of a heart attack.
God Almighty!
Yeah, died of a fucking heart attack.
They just got too excited. And
yeah, they were like, I guess both of them finished up and just. Killed over, both of them at the same time died.
The lover's embrace. God.
It's like some type of fucking what is it? What is it that bites the head off of the insect, praying mantis?
Oh, the praying mantis. Yeah. Except her head came off too.
Yeah. Speaking of insects, I had gone down a rabbit hole one night. I was like looking up like interesting facts about like animals and all that stuff. Did you know that what a Luna moth is?
Yeah, big green one.
It's a big green one. It doesn't have a mouth.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't have a mouth. So it can't eat. Yeah, so it lives for about a week and then it dies.
Jesus.
So the only thing
what an existence.
The only thing it can do during that time is procreate. That's all it can do. So essentially it has a week to get it done in.
Wow.
And I didn't know that because I was like looking up we were watching a movie with Autumn, like Spirit, or the one about the horse that came out like the early 2000s from DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Because they were watching that movie. And I was like, do horses sleep laying down?
Some of them do.
And it was like some of them do. Well, they do to go in like REM sleep, but for the most part, like they'll kind of like take quick naps during the day where they're like standing up.
Yeah.
And elephants, I think they said, do the same thing. Like very seldomly will they ever lay down.
Yeah.
And it was saying that dolphins actually will sleep near the surface of the water, and they'll sleep and turn one side of their brain off to get sleep while the other side stays on.
So and then they'll stay awake, and stay aware.
Yeah, and then they'll swap over and they'll do the same thing on the other side.
That's insanity.
And there's a type of bird that can do that in flight. Because that bird stays in flight for over 200 days or something like that.
And sleeps?
Yeah, it'll sleep the same way. It'll turn one half of its brain off, and then it turns the other half of its brain off.
That's crazy.
And then I sent you, I don't know if you got a chance to read it.
Oh, that article about the animals that live forever.
Yeah, there's an article about a type of jellyfish that biomechanically, like, it is immortal.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it is immortal.
Yeah. So, like, what it can do is it can revert itself back to an earlier stage of its life cycle. Mm-hmm. So they were like, think of like a frog turning itself back into a tadpole.
Yeah. Well, it was like, if it's about to die, it'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, if it's injured or sick, it'll just reverse. Like, okay, I'm gonna go back to baby mode again and try again.
That's so insane.
But that doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah. Like how?
How? And they were showing like those Maine lobsters can pretty much live forever until it gets to a point where molting their carapaces or whatever is just too much energy.
Yeah.
And they basically keep growing inside of their shell. They don't have the energy to molt that one and grow a new one, a bigger one. So they get to a point where they can't even really move anymore. And then, they die to predation or disease. Yeah. But it was like if they could just continue getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the jellyfish one to me was really astounding. Because I was like, it just reverts back to...
Yeah, it just kind of flies in the face of biology.
And, well, I mean, really, jellyfish they're strange anyway.
Yeah, they're not really like a living thing.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like they're kind of like just like a nervous system, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Around.
Yeah.
I hate jellyfish. They freak me the hell out.
But it's like, because jellyfish, it doesn't really have a brain. And so it's not very complex. It's not a very complex organism. Mm-hmm. So I guess it would be easier maybe in order for it to perform an action like that. However, if it doesn't have a brain, it's like, how does it know when it's sick or injured in order for it to revert back to that state?
It must just be like the entirety of its, mechanisms are for that.
Perhaps.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
Its entire existence is to just kind of keep cycling around and around and around. Did you ever hear... there was that theory going around that everything eventually becomes a crab?
No.
That's the extent of my knowledge on that. So, I'm not going to dive too deep into it. But yeah, I had heard that it was like, the like natural process of evolution eventually leads to a crustaceous life form.
Really?
I don't know why. Like I said, the crab cycle is all I know. This is the name of that.
Interesting.
But it is interesting. As a matter of fact, I kind of went down into a rabbit hole because I started like reading about different animals after you had sent me that article. Did you know that a liger never stops growing?
Really?
Tigers don't stop growing, but lions do. Tigers will eventually die growing in size.
Yeah.
They'll of course eventually die of old age, or they can't.
Yeah.
They'll die to some other tiger or something like that. But if you have a tiger in captivity, and you manage to keep it alive, however long you keep it alive, it will continue to grow and get larger. And there was this video of a dude standing next to a liger, which of course is a lion and a tiger crossbreed. And he's probably about my height, and that liger's back is above his shoulder.
That's so insane.
This thing is the size of like a Volkswagen bus. And it just looks like a giant lion.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. But apparently all ligers are also mentally retarded.
Really?
Yeah. Not like, they can't take care of themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
But they just don't.
The brain function is
it's retarded.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because those two, whatever those two genetic makeups,
they just don't.
They don't mix at that point wherever that whatever gene that is that causes the brain to form the right way. It just doesn't mix. It mixes everywhere else. Imagine like a zipper, like it zips all the way up to the top, and then just for some reason at the top it just doesn't clasp.
How odd.
It is odd, especially when you start considering crossbreeds like mules.
Like a mule, yeah.
Yeah, a mule can.
Yeah, but a mule is also sterile. It can't. It can't procreate.
It can't procreate another mule. But it's also not mentally retarded. It's just it can eat. It can go to the bathroom. It can do all that, and it just can't do that one thing.
Yeah. How strange.
It is strange. It's very interesting that you have those two completely separate species. Like a zonkey. Have you ever seen a zonkey?
Yeah.
A zebra and a donkey mix. It's like, a zebra and a horse are actually not alike at all biologically. But it's weird that those two things can procreate together and make a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like growler bears. Like a grizzly bear, polar bear crossbreed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you ever seen one of those things?
No, but I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I've heard people talk
They're
about them.
terrifying because it's like all the worst of both of those bears mixed together. Yeah. It's like having a polar bear that can now come down into like this Pacific Northwest.
Oh, God.
He's every bit as mean as a grizzly.
Well, isn't it actually polar bears are meaner than grizzly bears?
Are they?
Because polar bears are not omnivores. They're straight carnivores.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no vegetation.
Yeah, there's no
growing
vegetation up there for them to eat. Whereas, grizzly bears will eat, like, berries and that kind of stuff or whatever, bugs. Yeah. But a polar bear, it's straight up, it just eats meat. That's all it eats.
Wow.
Because, there's been instances, like, especially up near, like, Nunavut and, like, all those, like, up near, like, the top and everything, where you have, like, polar bears that, like, hunt people.
Yeah.
Like, because if there's nothing to eat, there's this
you're
village,
on the menu.
and there's this village of people just standing around.
Yeah. Especially if the bear is used to seeing those things.
Exactly.
That's why it's so dangerous for, like, if you ever go to, like, a national park and they say, if you see a bear, leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Do not give it food. Do not go up to it.
Yep.
Just look at it from a distance and then move on.
Yep.
Because you don't want the bears to get comfortable around people.
Exactly.
Because then they're going to realize, oh, hey, I can really overpower these things and eat them.
Yeah, sort of like, what was it, Grizzly Man.
Yeah, Grizzly Man. Did you ever hear the
audio from
audio
yeah,
from
it's
that?
bad.
It is pretty rough. There's some contention as to whether or not that's the actual audio from what happened. I would believe that it is.
Certainly sounds like it.
It certainly sounds very real. So if anybody that doesn't know, and if you go and you look this up and it disturbs you, that's entirely on you.
No.
I'm just saying.
It's out there.
It's out there.
But, have you ever seen like a bear that doesn't have any fur?
A shaved bear?
Yeah, a shaved bear.
It looks like a fucking alien.
Yeah, it's one of the most horrific things.
Like that black bear in that zoo that they shaved. I don't even know what to make of it. I think the first time I ever saw it, my brain couldn't figure it out.
Bears are terrifying creatures. Really, you think about, like, what are the apex predators on every continent? Like, Asia's got tigers. That's the apex predator.
They're all in India.
India, you have like Africa.
You got lions.
Lions. I mean, well,
Hippopotamuses are worse. Yeah.
kill more people per capita
Yeah.
than anything else on that continent.
Yeah.
Like as far as like animal attacks are concerned, but like in America, it's like people. I think it's like you have like people that has like teddy bears and everything. It's like, oh, it's a teddy bear. It's like, no, that thing is an apex predator.
Yeah. You have like bears and then like things like gators.
Yeah.
And like these are things that if it was just you and them,
yeah,
it's them.
Yeah, it's them. Yeah.
You don't stand a chance.
Like if you reverted back to like you just came out of the tree.
Yeah.
Like back to that point in our evolution.
Yeah.
Like you're just this meaty sack.
Yeah.
Like, this wet meaty sack.
Yeah, you got these like flimsy nails.
Yeah.
So you can't really scratch anything.
Exactly. It's like who do you think's going to win that fight?
Yeah. Probably the thing that has knives on its feet and in its mouth. We right before we get out of here, I had taken Mary to Mary's favorite animal is an otter, a river otter, and they are cute little things, you know. But they screech constantly. They're never not screeching.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, at least the ones we went to see were. That's how they were. But we got to like swim with them in a pool and just kind of pet them, and it was really neat. As a matter of fact, I think it was called the North Georgia Animals Zoo or Safari or something like that.
No.
But we got to see a few different things. We got to play with a wolf puppy.
Really?
Yeah, and he was massive. He was like as big as Lex is at 9 months.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
and a lot of people don't know how big wolves are.
They get big.
Wolves are fucking. He's like timber wolves.
Yeah.
Those things are giant. But they're kind of walking us through because they're a sanctuary, so they have like all these animals that they're trying to like get them like to where they can go be in the wild again.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of different things that you just wouldn't see at a normal zoo. And one of the things they had was a mountain lion.
Really?
Yes. And they were like, okay, we're going to go see the mountain lion now. And the mountain lion is just kind of laid up against this chain link fence, just looking at us coming up to it. And I just, I have seen like a tiger and a lion at the zoo.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, oh, there's that thing I've heard about.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was inches away from a mountain lion, this, thing that could and would kill me if this chain link fence was in between us.
Yeah.
There was a very real primal fear.
Yeah.
like the caveman in me woke up. It was like, and we got to brush it. They had like this little brush.
Yeah.
And you could kind of brush him through the thing.
Really?
And of course the mountain lion, he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. But he starts purring, and it's not like a kitty cat purr.
No.
It sounds like a helicopter's overhead. It was this very deep, choppy purr.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the musculature of this thing and like the size of its paws. And they're like, yes, this one's a juvenile and he's actually quite small for his age. And I'm like, if I was like walking on a trail or like hiking.
Yeah.
And a full-grown mountain lion, they're ambush predators, so you probably wouldn't see him coming anyway. But if he walked out in front of me on the trail, I don't know what I would do, aside from die.
Yeah, besides shit my pants.
Maybe I would just shit myself and then smear it all over me. That way he wouldn't want to eat me. But I imagine the other things that he murders and eats probably have tried the same thing. He's like, you think that's going to stop me?
Yeah.
A little bit of poop? Just utterly terrifying.
I was on Instagram, which is really funny because I hardly ever get on there. But I saw where Joe Rogan had posted this video. I don't know if you've ever seen this video before. There's an orangutan like sitting in this like behind a chain link fence or whatever.
Yeah.
And this guy's like fucking with it.
Fucking with the orangutan?
Yeah, like fucking with it.
Yeah.
And he goes like that and grabs him by the shirt and just pulls him in. And the guy's like this, horizontal, like on the fin. Like the other guy's like trying to pull him off. And the ape just keeps like grabbing him.
Yeah.
And I was like, how fucking horrifying.
You can't get away from this thing. Like, once he grabbed, it was so funny too, because the orangutan's arm like shot out like this,
Yeah.
like 10 feet. Like, they have those long arms. And he was standing a good distance away
Yeah.
once the thing reached out and grabbed him. But it like put like one arm around him and then like other arm around him, and then like one of those weird leg arms went around him and it was holding on to him and it was trying to bite him through the chain link fence. Yeah, that's why you don't fuck with wild animals. Leave them alone. You can go to the zoo and look at them and then go home.
Yeah, then go home. Yeah, people have like this weird, like you're not built to be out there.
Yeah, you're not meant to coexist with these things.
No. It's like the only thing that's keeping you alive is that brain inside your head.
Yeah, which apparently doesn't work too well for you.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be thanking your lucky stars that our ancestors got that shit figured out.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see that thing that think that the saber-toothed tiger primarily hunted humans?
Really?
Because like the shape of its mouth and the shape of its fangs or whatever were meant to crush the cranium.
Really?
Yeah, so they believed that a saber-toothed tiger was an ambush predator, and it would jump up behind a human and just crush your head in one bite.
Wow, I
So
didn't
you
know that.
just kind of like la-di-da walking through the fucking woods, and then all of a sudden just...
How strange. You know, and I guess, well, I mean, probably the humans were like, enough of this.
Yeah,
And
we're
then-
sick of this.
Yeah, we're sick of this. And they went and like probably hunted them down, which is interesting because no other animal really does that. No other, like you would think like elephants would be like, we're tired of these fucking lions.
Yeah.
We're just going to go kill all of them and be done with it. But they don't do that.
Lions will do that to hyenas. They'll go and hunt down hyenas because hyenas have been fucking with them for so long. This is
Yeah.
like a new behavior that they started seeing in lions.
Really?
Male lions will now go and look for hyenas and they'll kill the matriarch. But they don't kill them outright. They cripple them and then walk away.
Really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, there was a very famous lion, and I can't remember his name or exactly how to pronounce it. It was I guess like a Nigerian name. Like it was like called like Natamba Webe or something like that. It was something like that. I'm not just being racist. That's exactly how it was.
No.
But his name literally translated as "he who greets with fire,"
Yeah.
which
Well,
is fucking badass. But they were showing like he is known as the hyena killer,
no.
and he would constantly leave his pride, which
They
male
don't
lions
do that.
do that.
Yeah.
the females are the ones that go and hunt.
No.
The male lion, this one in particular,
Was he like a full grown or was he like a juvenile?
he was full grown. He would leave his pride and go and look for hyena packs
Yeah.
and find the matriarch of the hyena pack and cripple it and then leave.
Really?
Yeah. Because, usually when a lion hunts something down and kills it, they eat it.
Yeah.
He would cripple it and walk away.
How odd.
And it was just a very strange behavior to see out of an animal.
Yeah,
like that.
because animals don't cripple things. Like they're there to eat. They're
Yeah.
there for satiation. They're
Yeah.
not there just to fuck shit up and leave.
I mean, you have chimpanzees that torture each other.
yeah, well, chimps are they're a different breed. It's sort of like that one we talked about where it jumped out of the tree and they beat it to death and ate its balls right in front of it.
If you're curious about that one, go listen to episode 17, The Thicker Points of Chimpanzee Torture.
Chimps are fucking evil creatures.
They really are. I'm just glad that we figured out how to live in houses.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad that we're not up in trees anymore with these fucking things.
I'm glad that those that came before me figured out solid walls and air conditioning. 'Cause
Yeah, and
I wouldn't be here otherwise. Well, that's all we've got time for today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the Thicc Bois favorite moments video that I posted a while back. Wesley, do you have anything that you'd like to close with?
nope, I'll just try to not fuck up the release of the episode this week.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wesley
I put-
dropped the ball.
Yeah, I put 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. So I jumped on Spotify, because most of the time I'll check in the morning just to make sure there's been nothing awry
Yeah.
with the release of the episode. And I jumped on, I was like, it's not there.
Uh-oh.
So I went and checked Buzzsprout, and I put 5 p.m. I don't know why I did that, because
Yeah.
I have to scroll right past 5 a.m. to get to it. So. But I'll make sure it's 5 a.m. this week.
We're doing the best we can, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything we've spoken about on the podcast the past couple episodes, feel free to shoot us a message on the Facebook page or connect with us on Twitter. You can send us an email at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. We still have some stickers left, so of course, if you want some stickers, just give us your name and your address, and we'll show up to your house.
Uninvited.
Uninvited, we'll eat your food. Now we'll send you the stickers. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. So,
yep.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for the continued support.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak.